Hi there, welcome back to another video. I am currently at a rest area off the 17 in Arizona. I'm searching for some beautiful views as well as some cooler temperatures. So climbing up in some elevation, and I'm hoping to camp in Sedona. There are some restrictions that have come up in the past few years with dispersed camping in and around Sedona and the Coconino National Forest. So I'm hoping I will get lucky and find a good spot, but we will see how that goes. So wish me luck, and let's continue on the journey. Time is of the essence. So the views are amazing, but these campsites, this dispersed camping area is really just a parking lot. There's nothing dispersed about it. Not a fan. I think they could do better. It's kind of weak. All right, the tent is now set up, and this is the campsite. Now this is dispersed camping. Let's have a chat about what happened in Sedona. Those parking lots they're calling dispersed camping in Sedona, I'm not impressed. Now, I don't want to be too critical because it may be a matter of funding. I think recent overcrowding may have occurred there. Maybe there's not funds available to actually make a more pleasant dispersed camping area or areas, but essentially what they are parking lots where someone can sleep in a tent or a vehicle overnight. It's not really dispersed. Actually, it's not at all dispersed, but it is overnight camping and parking available. Each one of the several little areas, I think I drove past all of them. I drove past all of the dispersed camping areas on each side of the 89. They were just full of vehicles and some tents. There were 2 porta-johns at each of those areas. That was it. Just be advised, because I feel a little misled. When something is described as a dispersed camping area, I definitely think of something more like this. But I don't want to be too negative. Like, I understand that they were probably just reacting to a situation at hand. And for all I know, there could be plans for improvement in the future, or there could be a reason why there is no desire for improvement. Arizona sunset is not disappointing tonight. Okay, I just burned my tongue.
Crack one.
All right, let's do a little chat while I do the dishes. First thing I want to do is get the pots that I used, fill them with water, and then I'm going to put them back on the heat so that I can have hot water, but also help break up some of this stuff that's kind of sitting on the bottom of the pot here. Ultimately, the Sedona dispersed camping was not for me, but I'm so glad I went to check it out just because it gave me some good information about how I should handle the rest of my travels. And this is something that has been going on for a little while, and I've just come to like a realization that things have changed. Let me talk about it a little bit. When I was living on the road, when I first went out on the road in 2020, it was not crowded because people were in lockdown and dispersed camping was readily available. You know, some of the more popular sites you still had to kind of get to early, but it was possible. 2021, springtime, it's also not that bad. I was on the road pretty early on, and by time of peak summer, I was working and I had housing. Ever since then, I feel like I haven't come to terms with the reality that things are different. Camping, outdoor activities, and certain locations have just become wildly more popular than they were before. And to rely on dispersed... Did you see that? I got it just in the nick of time. To rely on dispersed camping when I have kind of a specific timeline, a specific movement patterns that I need, like it's different. I think if you're on the road full time, you have the flexibility of kind of going to the off-shoulder places. It's a little bit easier to manage it because you're not fighting all the crowds. But right now, I think I will be traveling into some off-shoulder territory, but I've come to the conclusion that I need to really build an itinerary for the rest of my travels, which will ultimately be taking me up to Washington by the end of the month. And I need to book campgrounds because it causes me a lot of stress trying to find a place to camp. There can be any number of reasons why a predetermined dispersed campsite doesn't work for me. It could be road conditions, it could be that it's fall, it could be that there's a vibe there that's just off. Like, yeah, that matters because Then I end up feeling like I'm just driving, trying to find a spot, and I spend so many hours driving every day, and that's not what I want. I want to be able to enjoy locations. So in the next couple of days, I'm going to start looking at campgrounds and just booking an itinerary for camping, because for right now, I think my days of relying on dispersed camping are over. The place I'm at right now, this is called, I think, Sitgraves National Forest, and it's the Larson Ridge camp area. I did see a herd of elk earlier, and what else did I see? A herd of horses. I didn't get footage of the elk, but I definitely pulled out my camera for the horses. The elk kind of came up suddenly. All right, I'm just gonna finish doing these dishes, spend a little bit more time by the fire, and then tuck in for the night.
Crack one.
Okay, well, I just put on some warmer layers and I got all of my window coverings up. I didn't put them all up at first just because there's plenty of privacy around here. Wasn't really worried about it, but it's actually pretty freaking cold. Yeah, I'm kind of warm under my blankets if I lay in the same position for a while, but as soon as I move, I find like cold spots again and it's chilly, so it's probably going to be a pretty cold night, but usually once I fall asleep, I warm up and I have plenty more layers I could put on if need be. It's just surprisingly cold. So I'm just going to lay under my covers. There's some things that I want to do, but like I'm too cold. It's not happening. So just gonna get nice and cozy. It's about 10:30 and I'm gonna go to sleep. So I'll see you in the morning. After a beautiful and relaxing midday at camp, it was time to get started on an early dinner. I've fallen away from cooking a bit, and I found a recipe, well, a couple of recipes on Instagram that led me to be inspired to create this dish. The ingredients are purchased from Trader Joe's, and it made it really easy. The first thing I did was I marinated this thinly sliced beef in soyaki sauce. Those noodles are wavy noodles and they each come with one sauce packet. So this is 2 packets of noodles. It takes about 4 minutes to cook them in boiling water. And I'm adding the sauce packet that comes with them. And that gave it some pretty decent flavor, but what I actually did was add some of that red pepper paste in that red container, the gochujang, Korean red pepper paste, and that amped up the flavor big time. If you have that with an egg, that would be a solid meal in and of itself. The next thing I did was put the beef on to cook. Wanted to get it a little bit crispy and cooked through decently, and that was a quick process. Of course, I had to test out the noodles and make sure that I had the flavor just right. And I did. And lastly, to steam these previously frozen vegetables, we just layered it right on top of the beef and let them cook and warm up. Now it was time for plating and, most importantly, enjoying. I'm going to try to link this information below, so if you're interested in trying out this recipe, again, I do recommend it quite a bit. I saw this recipe on TikTok, I think. It's all from Trader Joe's, so I bought all the ingredients when I was in Scottsdale and threw it together here at camp. To say it's pretty tasty. Maybe overcooked the noodles a little bit, but the flavor is delicious. And it was pretty easy. I'd make this again for sure. That was a delicious dinner. I'm just doing the cleanup now, but restaurants or otherwise, it's probably one of the best meals I've had in a while. Definitely would recommend that. I will try to leave a list of the ingredients down in the description in case you want to replicate it. Other than that, it's going to be a pretty early night tonight. Probably sit by a fire for a little while, but I am headed out early tomorrow. It is approaching Mother's Day weekend, and I'm about 7 hours away from my mom. So it's my plan to go visit her for that weekend since I haven't seen her in quite some time, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I will probably pull out of here super early in order to get that drive going. And other than that, I'm just grateful to have been here. This is a fantastic campsite. I would definitely stay here again. It's definitely like picked up a bit with traffic with the weekend approaching and everything, but it's still. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.